Do you know who I am and you're fired until they realized their terrible mistake? Firstly, this didn't happen to me. I was with the person when they received a phone call about this issue. Then he explained it all to me. He's not on Reddit, so I'm sharing it. It's priceless. All names changed to protect personal and company identities. Listed buildings, important to the story. In the UK there is a system for preserving ancient and important buildings. If a building has historical importance, it is known as a listed building, and the rules about how it's developed or maintained or improved are very strict. I need to be vague about the work involved, otherwise it's too easy to identify the parties involved. My friend David is skilled in a very niche area of construction. He repairs and renovates buildings using a very old construction method that hasn't been common for several centuries. All his work is on conservation projects and listed buildings. Work was required on a Grade 1 listed property. The overall building work was being done by the main contractor ACC Limited. One part of the work is very specialized. The contractor's managers didn't know anyone who did it, so the architect gave them a list of qualified people. The contractors chose my friend because he had the earliest availability. 5 days into the work, the owner of ACC Limited, the main contractor company, arrived on site. He was throwing his weight around and being a noisy gobshite, David's words. David was just doing his job and ignored him. Noisy gobshite told one of his carpenters to get him a coffee. The carpenter disappeared. Noisy gobshite continued wandering and gobbing off about delays costing him a fortune. 15 minutes after the carpenter had disappeared, the noisy gobshite asked my friend a question. Noisy gobshite, where is that effing Chippy with my coffee? Chippy means carpenter. David, don't know. Noisy gobshite, go and find out. David, I'm only here for this job, pointing to the walls. I don't work for ACC Limited. Noisy gobshite, I don't give if whether you're an employee or a subcontractor, you still work for me. Now go and find my effing coffee. David, firstly, I don't appreciate being talked to like that, and secondly, my contract with you is to do these walls, nothing more. I'm definitely not a gopher. Noisy gobshite, oh, you don't appreciate being talked to like that, do you? Which subcontractor do you work for? David, none. I'm self-employed. It's just me. Noisy gobshite, a effing day laborer? And you've got the nerve to talk to like that? Do you know who I am? David, yep. Noisy gobshite, well, you're effing fired. Get off the effing site now. David, okay, put it in writing. Noisy gobshite, if off. Just get off the effing site. David pulled his phone out and started recording. David, okay, I'll go. I just want proof you told me to go. Noisy gobshite grabbed David's hand holding the phone and screamed into the phone. Noisy gobshite, get off the site, you effing idiot. You're fired. If you're still here in 10 effing minutes, I'll have you effing thrown out. David, cool. No problem. He picked up all his kit and walked away. As he was leaving, the contractor's site manager passed him, ironically with a coffee for the boss, and with a smile said, "Site manager, you leaving early, Dave? Bloody part-timers, joking." David, no, your boss just fired me. Our contract is ended. Sorry mate. Site manager, no. No, no. Let me sort this out. Wait, please. Please, wait. David left. The site manager was losing his shit because he knew something that noisy gobshite didn't. Only 7 people in the UK are qualified to do the work. They all have a waiting list, and David had been the only one available. By the time he was home, he had 12 missed calls. That was Thursday. 2 working days missed so far. He said he'll go back, but only if he gets paid for the extra days and has a genuine apology in person from the boss. I met my friend when he was getting a call from the site manager saying the boss apologizes but is out of the country, so can't apologize face to face. David also told me he phoned the other specialists to warn them, but they'd all been phoned on Friday begging them to do the job. Nobody took the work. They are all booked solid. David also phoned the architect to warn him. Situations like this, some unscrupulous contractors try to bodge the job and fake the work. David is going to stick to his guns. Pay for all missed days plus face-to-face apology. He is sure he'll get it. I've said I'll pay anything to watch the face-to-face apology. Update. Site manager phoned to say he was told by noisy gobshite to threaten legal action if David doesn't finish the job. Site manager was very embarrassed and apologetic. David reminded him he didn't leave and has proof that he was fired. Site manager phoned again to say noisy gobshite will apologize face-to-face on Friday. Can David start tomorrow? David said no. Following the threat of legal action, the conditions are different. Face-to-face apology before work restarts. Added pay for wasted days. Payment of full contract value upfront before work starts. All must happen by Thursday. That's the last day he can start and still expect to finish before his next booking. If he also works the weekends, he has just enough time. I asked him why he isn't charging a huge extra amount for the guy being such a wanker. He said it doesn't look good if you take advantage of companies when they're under time pressure. Not the done thing. It seems that one of my friends is an 18th century gentleman. Correction. I misunderstood David when he said only 7 others do this work. He meant 7 other businesses apart from his. They're small businesses, so he says it's probably about 20 people who can do it. Still a small number, but not as comically small as 7. Sorry for misleading you all about the number. Update 2. Unfortunately, it seems there will be no apology. David has discovered that the site manager was blamed for not making noisy gobshite aware of the situation beforehand and was fired. David contacted the operations director for ACC Limited, Noisy Gobshite's number 2, and informed them that an apology is no longer required as he will not be returning to the job. The ops director apologized for everything and offered to renegotiate the money very generously. David told him that he had only considered going back to the job as a personal favor to the original site manager. Since he isn't there, he feels no obligation to return. Ops director said he will get back to David but didn't say why. I asked why he didn't say give him his job back or I won't come back. David said noisy gobshite is too petty and weak to be told what to do by a draftsman. It will have to be the company's idea for the site manager to come back. If I tell them to bring him back, it won't happen. David says the site manager is great at his job but is only 4 years from retirement, so it's not easy to find a job at 61. I've decided I like David even more than I did 3 days ago. Update 3. It's 2 AM here. We've just got back from the pub. David got a call while we were out from the sacked site manager. David updated the architect on the situation this afternoon. The architect contacted the sacked site manager to tell him about a company who need a site manager. The sacked site manager phoned David just before 9 PM. I had to sit through the phone call, only hearing one side. I must have looked childishly excited like I'd got an ass full of sparrows. Then David filled me in. The site manager rang to thank him and to find out his favorite drink so he can send him a bottle. He hasn't got the new job yet, but he is seeing them on Friday. Apparently, the architect's recommendation carries some weight, so he's optimistic. David refused at first. I didn't get you a job, the architect did. The site manager said, but you set all this shit in motion and told the architect that I'd been fired. Because of you, I never need to deal with that obnoxious pillock ever again. David wasn't specific about who the obnoxious pillock was. We'll have to guess. David said his drink is Carhu Gold Reserve. He said he will accept a bottle only if A, the site manager gets the new job, and B, if the site manager will come over and drink the Carhu with David. It looks like the handsome scribe who did the enormously difficult time-consuming job of skillfully writing this saga down on Reddit isn't included in the whiskey consumption. As David poetically put it, piss off knobhead, you can buy your own effing drink. All good news, hopefully, except that nobody gets to see that tosspot, noisy gobshite, eat shit when he has to apologize. I was so looking forward to that.